A band that was known for their
experimentation,
but also earworms.
Captain Kirk was only doing his duty.
No, not that type of earworms, but you get the point.
The year is 1971. David Bohm was attending the Maryland Institute of College of Art. While there, he was in a duo group called Verison. Meanwhile, Chris Vance and Tina Weinberg were also alumni of the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence, Rhode Island. There, Brennan and Vance formed a band called the Artistics in 1973. Weinberg was Vance's girlfriend and often provided transportation for the band. The Artistics dissolved the following year, and the three moved to New York, eventually sharing a communal loft. In 1975, while beginning the band, they were unable to find a bass player. However, Tim Weinberg joined in after Chris Vance helped to play bass by listening to Susie Corrado's albums. With that, they began to play their first gig as a band on June 5, 1975 at CBGB in New York. For the name, they came up with Talking Heads. Weinberg recalled on how the name came to be.
A friend had found the name in a TV guide, which explained a term used by TV studios to describe a head and shoulder shot of a person talking as all content, no action. It fit.
In early 1976, they recorded several demos for CBS Records. However, both demos were turned down. However, unknown at the time, Sir Records signed them to the label in November of 1976. With that, they recorded their first album, 77, while their first single, Love Goes to Burning on Fire, was released in January of 1977. However, when they added Jerry... Not that one! Come on! Jerry Harrison would join in March of 1977, while Meanwolf was being auditioned 3 times by Byrne before she was fully accepted into the band. When they finally released their first album on September the 16th of 1977, critics would praise the album, with hits such as Psycho Killer and Don't Fear the Government. As for its charts though, it didn't do too well, only peaking at number 97 in the US and number 16 in the UK. However, it did give them their first charted single, Psycho Killer, which surprisingly went number 11 in the Netherlands Top 40, while going number 92 in the US. Meanwhile, in the March of 1978, they recorded their next album, more songs about buildings and food, their first album with Brian Eno, who were going to produce with U2, David Bowie, and Windows 95. Yeah, sorry about that. When issued on July 14th of 1978, critics would praise the album, As for its charts though, it did much better, peaking at number 29 in the US and number 21 in the UK. As for its cover, it's a photomistic of the band comprising over 529 close-ups of the Polaroid photographs. Also, they would have their first top 30 single, a cover of Al Green's Take Me to the River. 1979 would see them release Fear of Music. When issued on August 3rd of 1979, Fear of Music received favorable reviews from critics. Praise centered on its unconventional rhythms and frontman David Byrne's lyrical performances. The album is considered one of the best Talking Heads releases, and has been featured in several publications lists of the best albums of all time. It will go on to hit number 21 in the US and number 33 in the UK. Life During Wartime will go on to hit number 80 on the Hot 100 in the US. But however, in 1980, would not only see the band rise, but continue to get popular, as all of a sudden, this happened. Remain in White would see the band experiment with African polyrhythms, funk, and electronics, recording instrumental tracks as a series of looping grooves. These sessions incorporated a variety of side musicians, including guitars Adrian Boo, Samuel Hendricks, and trumpet player John Hessel. When released on October the 8th of 1980, Remain in White was widely acclaimed by critics, who praised for its sonic experimentation, rhythmic innovations, and consensus merging of dislogic genres. As for its charts, though, the album peaked at number 19 on the US Billboard 200 and number 21 on the UK Albums chart, and spawned the singles Once in a Lifetime and Houses in Motion. It has been featured in several publications as the best albums of 1980 and of all time, and is often considered Talking Heads' magnum opus. In 2017, the Library of Congress deemed the album culturally, historically, or artistically significant, and selected for preservation in the National Recording Registry. Sadly, Brian Eno would go on leave to produce U2 in the mid-80s. The band would take a 3-year break, but in 1982, the band released the live album. The name of this band is Talking Heads. When issued in March of 1982, critics will praise the album, and will go on to hit number 41 on the top 200. Would see the band go back into business with Speaking in Tongues, which was their first album without Eno, instead producing them themselves. When issued on June the 1st of 1983, critics would be positive of the album. Rolling Stone's David Fickle rounded the album's sober nature, calling it
the album that finally obliterates the thin line separating arty white pop music and deep black funk.
The album will go on to produce Burning Down the House and This Must Be the Place. The album will go on to hit number 15 in the US. Sadly, the highest the band ever got in the US, but not in the world, which we'll talk about later. 1984 would not only see another live album, but a movie. Yes, a legit concept film. That's why today if 21 Pilots or CYN made a concert and made a crap ton of money. However, I won't go over the movie in detail, as I'll save that for another time. However, the live album was praised, going number 41 on the top 200. It would stay on the charts until 1986. Meanwhile, at the beginning of October 1984, they would finally follow up Speaking in Tongues, Little Creatures. Hey! When the album was released on June the 10th of 1985, critics once again praised the album. The album went number 20 in the US and and number 1 in New Zealand. See, I can't make this stuff up. With over 2 million copies sold in the United States, it has become the biggest hit. The cover art was created by outsider Howard Finster and was selected as the album cover of the year by Rolling Stone. 1986 would see the release of True Stories, taking its name off the film of the same name that David Byrne was working at the time. With Stop Making Sense, we won't cover the film, as we'll save that for another time. Critics will be mixed on the album, though. As for its charts, though, it went number 17 in the US and number... Can you not? And number 1 in New Zealand. Last time I will include that joke. I promise. "1988 would see the band release their final album, Naked.
Link, enough.
When released on March the 13th of 1988, critics would be positive on the album. It would be better than True Stories in terms of positivity. As for its charts, though, the album went to number 19 in the US and number 3 in the UK. Sadly, however, this would be their final album to date. Although the band disbanded by the time of the release, it would take until 1991 to officially announce it. However, reunions have happened, but only twice, in 1996 and in 2002 for the Hall of Fame introduction, although without the original band members. However, since then, the band has been getting a cult following, with some of their songs on YouTube that are getting popular each day. With this, we answer the question, why did the band rise and fall? Well, they didn't. With only 77 being in the top 100, all their other albums were in the top 30. With this, they were doing very successful. It was just a lack of interest from the lead singer's lack of interest of making another album. He continues to be popular to even this day, releasing the Broadway hit American Utopia, but other than that, the band is most likely not to reunite. With this, we ended off here. But does this mean this is the end? No. Several compilation albums have been released, one in 1992 and then one in 2004. With this, we ended it off here. Thank you for watching, and see you guys later.